Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Ba Girivanadari Jaya Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Ba Girivanadari Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Ba Girivanadari Jaya Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakacharya Asatara Sutasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I've read that this year was the 25th anniversary of Sri Sri Radha Madhava, the deities of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He wrote this song about, are in Vrindavan temple. They're there at Radha Shyama Sundar's altar. Just by Shyama Sundar, you'll see these deities there, Radha Madhava deities. So they've been coming there to Vrindavan temple now for 25 years for the month of Kartik. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's see, today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 24, Text 21, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Nila Rakto Padamboja Kala Rendi Varakaram Hamsa Sarasa Chakrava Karandava Nikunjitam Nilarakto Palamboja Kala Rain Divarakaram Hamsa Sarasaka Chakrakva Karandava Nikunjitam Nilarakto Palamboja Kalarendi Virakadam Hamsarasa Chakrakva Karandava Nikunjitam Kalarendi Virakadam Hamsa Sarasa Chakrava Karandava Nikunjitam Nilarakto Palamboja Kalarendi Virakadam Hamsa Sarasa Chakrava Karandava Nikunjitam Nilarakto Palamboja Kalarendi Virakadam Hamsa Sarasa Chakrakva Karandava Nikunjitam. Ladies. Nilarakto Palamboja Kalarendi Virakaram Hamsa Sarasa Chakrava Karandava Nikunjitam Nilarakto Palamboja Kalarendi Virakadam Hamsa Sarasa Chakrava Karandiva Nikunjitam. Nila, blue. Rakta, red. Utpala, lotus. Ambaja, born from the water. Kalara, another kind of lotus. Indivara, another kind of lotus. Akaram, the mind. Hamsa, swans. Sarasa, cranes. Chakrava, the ducks of the name. Karandava, birds of the name. Nikunjitam, vibrated by their sounds. Translation. In the great lake, there were different types of lotus flowers. Some of them were bluish, some of them were red. Some of them grew at night, some of them in the day, and some, like the Indivara, lotus flower, in the evening. Combined together, the lotus flowers filled the lake so full that the lake appeared to be a great mine of such flowers. Consequently, on the shores there were swans and cranes, chakravaka, karandava, and other beautiful water birds standing about. Hey, we can repeat the translation. In that great lake, there were different types of lotus flowers. Some of them were bluish, and some of them were red. Some of them grew at night, some in the day, and some, like the Indivara lotus flower, in the evening. Combined together, the lotus flowers filled the lake so full that the lake appeared to be a great mine of such flowers. On the shores, there were swans and cranes, chakravaka, karandava, and other beautiful water birds standing about. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The word akaram, mine, is significant in this verse, for the reservoir of water appeared like a mine from which different types of lotus flowers were produced. Some of the lotus flowers grew during the day, some at night, and some in the evening. And accordingly, they had different names and different colors. All these flowers were present on that lake. And because the lake was so calm and quiet and filled with lotus flowers, superior birds like swans, chakravakas, and karandavas stood on the shores and vibrated their different songs, making the entire scene attractive and beautiful. As there are different types of human beings according to the association of the three qualities of material nature, there are similarly different types of birds, bees, trees, etc. Everything is divided according to the three qualities of material nature. Birds like swans and cranes, who enjoy clear waters and lotus flowers, are different from crows, who enjoy filthy places. Similarly, there are persons who are controlled by the modes of ignorance and passion, and those who are controlled by the mode of goodness. The creation is so varied that there are always varieties found in every society. Thus, on the bank of the lake, all the superior birds lived to enjoy the atmosphere created by that great reservoir filled with lotus flowers. Amagana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshulin Militam Jaina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayavrupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapatandikam Panchakopa Turubhishcha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Some of you were with us yesterday. Huh? We had Harinam Sankirtan in City Hall. All different kinds of birds and bees are in that area. See why Lord Chaitanya amalgamated this process, Harinam Sankirtan, regardless what types of birds were there. We saw at the Japanese garden, big beautiful crane, some type of big long beak, pretty bird. There in the lake, the nice pond. Then you had the monkeys, they were there, waiting for some prasadam. Some of the devotees gave them prasadam. In Vrindavan, we have a very natural fear of monkeys. Monkeys in Vrindavan, they're not very nice. They're they're definitely in the modes of passion and ignorance. But these monkeys, they were a little more complacent. They would sit waiting patiently to get something. Anyway, this verse it did the other day, yesterday, class Shruti was describing the calmness. We see this lake. It's described in the verse, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the mine. The mine. Mine's, of course, where you go. Here in South Africa, different places, they mine, right, for gold. They mine for diamonds. Go in there to find the booty. Well, these mines filled so many flowers, you can imagine, and all blooming at different times of the day. In the morning, there was a certain type of flower. Then it said at nighttime. But then in between time, evening, at dusk, like Lord Nrsingadev, he appeared in evening, right at dusk. Not morning, not night. He appeared at dusk. So it's describing these flowers, these beautiful, colorful flowers blooming all the different times. Of course, for me, I'm thinking how to bring Srila Prabhupada's activities from these verses, from this purport. Not difficult. The thing I appreciated most about Srila Prabhupada was his calmness in his room. Whatever else was going on the morning walk, also that was another kind of very peaceful, calming, beautiful. Where did he take his morning walks? In the park, botanical gardens. Here he went to the Japanese gardens. Still looks very, very nice. Well, they're not kept as nice as it was probably 50 years ago. I'm sure it was everything manicured very nicely. That's where Prabhupada would take his walk, in the park. Botanical gardens. Los Angeles, Cheviot Hills Park. Both the park and a big lake. He would walk around the lake in the morning. If he wasn't doing that, where else did he take his morning walk? One other place, really. It was either in a park or by the ocean. There were the two places Prabhupada would take his morning walk. And as I think it was Shruti mentioned, and if the weather wasn't nice, what did he do? If it was raining, cold, rainy, he would take his morning walk in the car. He didn't walk in the car. He would just be sitting in the car. But still, he would go out. He would enjoy. Here, such a beautiful temple. From every angle you look, you see nice green, beautiful trees, flowers, birds. This is the spiritual world. This is the nature of the spiritual world. And this is how it's being described. Everything very beautiful, very peaceful. Prabhupada in many places had very beautiful rooms. Bhaktivedanta Manor, one of the nicest rooms. And wherever he went, very, very nice room. What would he do? The sun was shining in the afternoon. He didn't sit in his room. He went outside. He sat by the lake. You see so many pictures there. Srila Prabhupada at the manor, sitting down on the lawn. The garden. In England, they call it a garden. U.S., we call it yard. Garden sounds much nicer. And we would sit in the garden. So Prabhupada was always very happy to be in natural surroundings, nature. Didn't care what his room was like. Vrindavan, tiny little room. Big enough to put his bed in there. Simple bed. Cushion on the floor with the little table in front of him. Everywhere he went, it was the same. Bhaktivedanta Manor, big room. They would lay nice white sheets down on the floor for all the guests when they would come. Prabhupada was still sitting on the floor, just on a cushion on the floor, same little desk in front of him with the desk lamp for his translation work. Very simple. I remember When I was with Prabhupada, of course, one of the first things we did, we went to India right after Janmashtami, 1972. So, of course, I was in New Vrindavan. New Vrindavan was very, very beautiful. It was very austere, but it was right there, mode of goodness, nature, trees, flowers, birds, bees, like that. But as soon as I left with Prabhupada, within 2 weeks, we were in India. India's more austere. Vrindavan, of course, Vrindavan, the spiritual world itself. Prabhupada said, replica Vrindavan, such a beautiful place, but also austere place. To this day, Vrindavan's austere. Too hot, too cold, too humid, too rainy. Every season. Kartik now, best month of the year. You go to Vrindavan now during Kartik. But then there's another austerity. Hundreds of thousands of people every day in Vrindavan. Motor cars, rickshaws, horns, loud music. It's changed so much. You don't hear peacocks anymore. Like descriptions here. Nice birds vibrating, beautiful sounds. Don't hear those sounds anymore in Vrindavan. Big, big crowds, though, coming to Krishna Balaram Mandir. At nighttime, I forget how many thousands of lamps we have to have ready constantly. Tens of thousands of people coming to offer their lamps. So crowded it is. And we have, of course, the ropes. One row of ropes. Ladies in one file, men in another file like this and going. So crowded it is in the evening. If you're on the altar there, sometimes I would be right on the altar by Krishna Balaram. You could smell hair burning. The person in front of you, person behind you offering your lamp. Yeah, the lady in front, her hair's burning. Lamps going on. We have fire extinguishers all around waiting for someone to go up in flames. So far, no one has gone up in flames. Krishna Balaram has been very merciful to us. But this idea of nice, peaceful mode of goodness, where you can practice Krishna consciousness very nicely. From the very first morning walks, I was with Srila Prabhupada. It was like the fifth day. He was staying in San Francisco, one person's house. That also had to be brought up to the standard before he got there. It was owned by one hippie. So, of course, the house was just like a little drug den, smelled of marijuana all the time. And so before Prabhupada came, everything they cleaned, so nice. He got a very nice cleaning done for his place. Prabhupada stayed there for a few nights. On the morning, he went for a morning walk in Botanical Garden. Pretty trees, always nice trees there, flowering bushes and plants. And as he's walking, he went by this one area, and it was like a little playground. And it was gated, had pretty wrought iron gates, black gates, gold trim here and there. And above the gates it said, Children's Fantasy Land. And Prabhupada stopped with his cane. His cane is his pointer. He pointed, he said, Children's Fantasy Land. Then in the distance, a few kilometers away, you could see the city of San Francisco because we were up high where this park was. And you could see the city, the skyline, all the skyscrapers. What did Prabhupada call them? Skyscrapers. You know what scrap? In English, the word scrap means junk. Prabhupada called them skyscrapers. So in the distance, he pointed, he said, Children's Fantasy Land. Then he grabbed his cane, he's still holding his cane, and he pointed to the skyline. He said, Adult Fantasy Land. This is the thing, fantasy. I was just reading this morning when India Man was Prabhupada says, so what do? You go to the moon. Just you're going to sleep. What can you do there? He said, just sleep there. He said, oh no, but this has made advancement. He said, what advancement have you made? He said, you're just like here, you're here, you sleep. He said, you go there, you're going to sleep. He said, spending so many millions and millions of dollars to find a place to sleep. And finally the man said, well, Prabhupada, we have nuclear physics. He said, so what do you do with that? He said, you just make skyscraper with your physics. For the business of sleeping. All the animals, he said, doing the same thing. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. He always took that stance. So-called modern civilization. What have you accomplished? Same business. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Morning walks, you could learn so much. All the time you could learn so much by being next to Prabhupada. He was always teaching, always giving us lessons. But morning walks were special because you just never knew. And you couldn't understand what Prabhupada was thinking, how he saw things. So much different from the materialist, even so much different from myself and others. We didn't have that transcendental vision, huh? In Hawaii, he just leaves, walks out of the front door of the temple, and within a few moments, he's walking the mango tree in the paved parking area. And as he's walking by, he points his cane. Just a pile of bird stool, all one spot. Bird poo. Prabhupada points his cane. He said, what does that mean? I think, what does it mean? All these things are going through your head. Maybe the bird has diarrhea. What does it mean? What does it mean? Who knows? It means that bird, he also has his home in that tree. He's staying there every night. You think you're so different. You're staying in a room, nice room. Maybe you have an air conditioner, heater, fan. But the bird's doing the same thing. Sleeping. Sleeping in the tree, you're sleeping in your skyscraper. That's all. Same business. And when you're sleeping, you don't know whether you're sleeping on a golden bed or you're sleeping on the floor, on the ground, on the dirt. What's the difference? When you're sleeping, you're sleeping. Prabhupada's vision was, that's all we're doing is sleeping. Unless you're a devotee, everyone is sleeping. Another botanical garden, Mexico City, 1975. Prabhupada would walk every morning, very pretty park. Mexico City's like mile high. It's up there, pretty cool, nice. And he's on his morning walk. And of course he's surrounded by a dozen big devotees, GBC, sannyasis, temple presidents, book distributors, all walking next to Prabhupada. Just trying to get that association with Srila Prabhupada. And he stopped, like he would do on the morning walks. Always something to learn. Whatever you're doing, you're on the morning walk, you're in the temple, you're at the park, you're doing Harinam in City Hall. There's always something you can observe this material world, how things are going on. Huh? He stopped. And he, again, with his cane, pointed at a tree. Tree was dead. Prabhupada pointed, he said, why is the tree dead? I have been with Prabhupada for 2 years. I never answered his questions. Because so whatever you say, there's a good chance you're wrong. He liked to always show you're wrong. And then he would tell you what's right. Why is the tree dead? What do you think? GBC sannyasis, and Prabhupada became diseased. Prabhupada loved to shake his head like that. No. Then another one thinking, okay, what to say. Another one said, it became old and died. I've been with Prabhupada 2 years. I don't know, but I'm thinking, what does he want to hear? What does he want to hear? What is he seeing? What is he trying to teach us? So finally, that's what I said. The soul has left the body. I said, yes. So this is spiritual vision, how to see things, the difference between material and spiritual. Prabhupada saw everything such unique way. He would see the birds, like we see the birds, talking about the birds flying back and forth, little pieces of straw in their beaks, making a house. He would say, same business. You're building a house, they're building a house. What makes us different? The only thing we can do, become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, in the material world, all the business is the same. Sleeping. Working very hard so you have a nice place to sleep. Nice sense gratification. As Prabhupada would say, Karmi's working very hard to enjoy their sex life. Not the devotees, he would say. Sleeping very comfortably. That he would see. Sleeping. On the airplane, that was big airplanes. Now they have big airplanes too. 3 seats, one side, 3 seats, other side, 5 seats in the middle. I think the 747 had 6 seats in the middle section. You can imagine being cramped in the middle, surrounded by so many other people. But one flight, he was going a short distance, just like from here to Joburg. He was going from New York to Detroit. 1 hour flight. And Prabhupada had his seat. Where did he sit on the airplane? The window seat. Always sat at the window seat. Always. I never asked him why. And I would sit next to him. One of the 3 things I was told when I became his servant. He rings the bell, you go in the room. He sits in the plane, you sit next to him. He sits in the car, you sit next to him. I'm going, okay. Scared, afraid, sitting next to a pure devotee. Imagine on an airplane, talking about trying to be peaceful. Imagine being on an airplane for 15 hours, sitting next to your pure devotee, spiritual master. And he would just sit very comfortably, like this, very peaceful. It's what I appreciated so much about Prabhupada. So many things going on. In the temple, busy like here, you have the festival. If you go in the kitchen area, you go behind the altar, everyone busy bees. So many things to do. Prabhupada would go back, follow him into his room. It was peaceful. It's what I appreciated the most. He could be peaceful in any situation. Very calm. From Mexico City, we went to Caracas, Venezuela. Maharaj asked me, tell the story sometime. Caracas, Venezuela. We arrived there. I had just come back with Srila Prabhupada. I was away for 6 months. I left as a brahmachari, got married. Satsvarup Maharaj was his servant. Prabhupada got so frustrated with his brahmacharis getting married, leaving him. Couldn't be as peaceful. He made Satsvarup Maharaj his servant. He figures, well, he's not going to leave and get married. He left after 6 months. How is it? None of us could stay with Prabhupada. He was peaceful. He was Krishna conscious. Unless you're completely Krishna conscious, to be around a pure devotee 24 hours a day, it's not easy. Not easy. Not even possible. Somehow or other, we like chaos. We're attached to the chaos. We're so used to chaos from the time we're born, growing up in a house filled with chaos, noise, fighting, arguing, all these things. When you find a place that's just peaceful, Krishna conscious, you don't know how to act. Anyway, those 6 months, I was in Caracas, Venezuela, at the temple. I got to know all the devotees there. Javi, we all know Javi Das, huh? Javi Prabhu, wonderful kirtan singer. He even got Emmys, I think, there in Venezuela, singing songs, huh? So anyway, somehow or other, I was fortunate, became Prabhupada's servant again. Now I'm in white, a Grahasta, Mexico City. Then he goes to Caracas. So we get there. It was a nice, pretty place they were renting on the hillside. You could oversee the whole city from this place. Very nice place it was. And we go in, and of course, Prabhupada goes up on the Vyasasan. We had come from Mexico City. It was chilly. It was cold. Prabhupada had his sweater on, had his socks on, chadar. But we get there, and I helped Prabhupada onto the Vyasasan. But then I got distracted because I'm looking at all my friends. You know, they knew me, I knew them. And now I'm like, here I am, back with Prabhupada, very proud, very happy. And I'm looking at Javi, looking at this one, looking at that one, thinking, here I am now in my constitutional position. I felt very good, very happy. Something hit me in the head. I looked, Prabhupada took his socks off. I didn't get to take them off like I saw Maharaj. The assistant there helped you take your socks off before doing the arti, put them back on. That's what I did for Srila Prabhupada. But I was enjoying, thinking I'm big Prabhupada's servant now, looking at everyone, look at me, look at me. Prabhupada took his socks off. He rolled them into a ball and threw them at me. Hit me in the head. Wake up, you're sleeping. This is what we're all doing. We're always sleeping. This is our business. In that 747, Prabhupada's sitting at the window seat. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And everyone knew Prabhupada was going there. The flight was cheap. I don't know, maybe $20, $30 at the time, this short flight. New York to Detroit, going to the temple in Detroit. So they all booked seats in the same row Prabhupada was in. They thought that was a smart idea. It wasn't such a smart idea. Prabhupada's sitting there 1 hour. And of course the flight takes off. Prabhupada's handing his bead bag, and I'm right next to him. I have no choice. You can't do anything. Your hands in your bead bag, that's all. Chanting, not chanting, make believe you're chanting. Not distracted. I never fell asleep in front of Prabhupada, somehow or other. Not in class. Imagine, it was like 900 classes or something, sitting there. I see myself sometimes in videos. I'm looking attentive, I'm thinking, yeah. Big show. Everything over my head, going right over my head. And Prabhupada looks, plane's up in the air for 10 minutes, and he's looking, and he sees his disciples. Why are they sleeping, he says to me. I never have an answer. You don't say anything. You say anything, now you're going to get attacked as well. At least I wasn't sleeping. Why are they sleeping, he said. Look at all the karmis. Prabhupada called them karmis, just like we say, karmis. He said, look, all the karmis, they're not sleeping. You see some of them, then it wasn't computers, they have their pencil and pads, writing things, all businessmen on the morning flights during the week, all busy. He said, everyone's busy, not the devotees. He said, very peacefully sleeping, like dead men. Sleeping like dead men. That was us. Of course, I could say, well, Prabhupada, when you were going to New York, they didn't sleep for days. They're painting the temple, cleaning, doing this, building your vyasasan, getting your quarters ready. But I didn't say anything. Whatever you say, sleeping, dead men. Karmis, you say, working very, very hard for their sense gratification, working hard for their sex life. At least he said, we didn't say we were doing that. He would say, we're sleeping very comfortably. The devotees sleeping so comfortably. This was our business, sleeping. More than anything else, got chastised for sleeping. In the daytime, he would call, where are they? He knew where they were. Whenever he said, where are they? They're sleeping. He knew they're sleeping. I knew they're sleeping. Sometimes I was also sleeping. He'd ring the bell if I was sleeping. I never slept. Devotees, we never slept during the day. You got up for Mangalarti, that was it. You're so busy. Next 12 hours, 10 hours, whatever it was, you're so busy, no question of sleeping. You became Prabhupada's servant. If you get a chance to sleep, you sleep. You're traveling 15, 20 hours, time changes. None of it mattered to him. He's only sleeping 2-3 hours at night anyway, so you could change. Like now, I just talked to someone in Hawaii, 12 hours difference. Imagine, you go there, everything completely upside down. All you want to do is sleep, but you can't. Because you're sleeping, he's going to ring the bell, wake you up. Sometimes on the way into the room, I know, I'm in trouble. I always knew, you just hear the bell, you already knew you're in trouble, just by the sound of the bell. I think it would ring louder because you're waking us up. This is the business of the spiritual master. Wake up, Jeeb Jago, Jeeb Jago. I go in the room, as I was walking in the room, I'm like trying to fix my eyes so he doesn't see. Like he needed to know. He already knew. And you're offering obeisances. He doesn't wait to look at you. I've been ringing the bell for hours. Maybe 30 seconds or something. They said he had different time, like heavenly planets. Like 1 second's like a year, So if he's ringing the bell for a few seconds, he's waited a year already. I've been ringing for hours. Where have you been? He knows where you've been. Why are you sleeping? You don't say anything. If you say something, it was the worst time once. It was Fiji. We went to Fiji. He had already chastised us a week before. He was traveling so much. Every 3-4 days, you're going to a different place, changing time zones. He just set his watch. He was finished. 6 in the morning after 20 hours of flying. You get 2 hours of rest. 6 in the morning, time for the morning walk. You don't want to go on a morning walk. You just want to sleep. But he's going on the morning walk. If he's going on the morning walk, you're going on the morning walk. One time he chastised me. Why aren't you chanting your rounds? I was devastated. I wasn't. He knew I wasn't. Why aren't you chanting your rounds? I was so bewildered. There was a new dork. I looked at him. I said, Prabhupada. I said, I'm sitting in my room all day. That was my excuse for not getting my rounds done. Imagine 21-year-old boy sitting in a room 24 hours a day. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't be further away than hearing the sound of him ringing the bell. That was your service. Secretary could do anything he wanted. He'd go out, shop, get your visas, get your passports. He had so many things to do. Sanskrit editor, he could do whatever. But servant, you're there in the room 24 hours a day. Why aren't you chanting your rounds? I said, well, Prabhupada, I'm just sitting in that room all day long. He looked at me. He said, I'm sitting in my room all day long, like we're the same. You're sitting in your room? He said, I'm sitting in my room. He said, and every morning, together, we go out on the morning walk. Like that was our time outside. We get to go out for an hour or two every morning. He said, we go out together on the morning walk. He's saying like we're the same. I looked at him. I said, you're Haridas Thakur. I said, it's difficult. What are we going to do? Call Kurandar. He was number 2 man in ISKCON, 1973. Kurandar, GBC, headquarters in Los Angeles. Prabhupada said he could do anything, Kurandar. He said it to me. Kurandar can do anything, he said. So we said, call him. I called him. So then we both go back in. I always go back in with whoever I call. We both go back in, we offer obeisances. And sit up. Prabhupada looks at Kurandar. He was an ex-Marine, and he looked just like an ex-Marine. Just a face. That was a devotee. We thought that's what it meant to be a devotee. Grave all the time. Never smile. What to speak of laughing. Maya. Anyway, looks at Kurandar. He said, so Srutakirti, he's not getting his rounds done. And he says he's sitting in his room all day. He repeated exactly what I said. And he didn't pass judgment. He didn't say it cynically. He didn't say it sarcastically. He just said, Srutakirti said, he's not getting his rounds done because he's sitting in his room all day. What can we do? Kurandar's like, Prabhupada said, I know. He said, can you get a dictaphone machine? Yes, Prabhupada. Yes, immediately Kurandar said yes. He said, so you get a dictaphone machine, you put it in the other sitting room. Prabhupada had 2 sitting rooms. He only used one. The other one was just kind of there in his flat, his apartment. He said, you put that dictaphone machine in that room. He said, and looks at me, he said, Srutakirti, you can type? Yes, Prabhupada. He said, so you put the dictaphone machine there? He said, and I'll begin translating Chaitanya Charitamrita there. He said, then in the morning you collect the tape. Is that okay? I said, yes, Prabhupada. He said, and you do the transcription. So he put the headphones on. So that takes hours. So he says, in this way you'll have something to do. He said, and then you'll get your rounds done. Is that all right? I said, yes, Prabhupada. So he gave me more things to do. That's how I would get my rounds done. I said, yes, Prabhupada. So the next morning, we go out on a morning walk together. Me and Haridas Thakur, Prabhupada. And I'm chanting my rounds. I think, I have this service to do. Now I have more service to do. I have to get my rounds done. Prabhupada knew always how to handle everyone in every situation. So we're on the morning walk. We're in the car back and forth. I got my rounds finished, 16 rounds. Breakfast, I have my breakfast. I'm thinking, I got to do this transcription. The tape is there. Reel of tape there in the dictaphone machine. So now I'm typing out Chaitanya Charitamrita. I said, he started it because of me. Chaitanya Charitamrita. He finished it in 2 years. Chaitanya Charitamrita, finished in Juhu. So then next morning, chanting my rounds on the morning walk, But I go to the dictaphone machine, there's nothing in there. And the next day, there's nothing in there. But he got me chanting my rounds. That was Prabhupada. He always knew just what to do, just how to fan that flame. But as what it did, he showed. Being with him, long time I was with him, I could never imagine that he cared, that he took care of me. But over and over again, I would see that he took care of me. He made sure I ate nicely. If I didn't feel well, he would say, call a doctor when I was dying at Krishna Balaram Mandir with malaria, lying on the floor. He went through, right at lunchtime, went through the little servants' quarters. I'm lying on the floor, literally dying of malaria. And my godbrothers are sitting there eating lunch. Prabhupada walked through, he sees them all eating. He sees me on the floor. He said, is anyone taking care of Srutakirti? And they're all like, he said, get him a bed. He said, call him a doctor. He said, and bring him a nimbu pani. a little lemon soda. Bring him a nimbu pani. I said, it was the sweetest nimbu pani I ever had. Prabhupada said, bring him a nimbu pani. So we had nimbu pani. That was Prabhupada. Did everything. Took care of us. Always trying to wake us up from our sleeping condition. Huh? Sleeping doesn't just mean lying down in bed. We're all sleeping all the time. Unless we're Krishna conscious. Sleeping, that's our business. Even you go to the moon. He said, what are you going to do when you get there? Sleep. Always he was trying to stop our sleeping business. Think of Krishna. Nice situation like this. Nice, peaceful. Then you can remember Krishna very nicely. So, we have time for maybe one or two questions. Any questions? Comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Srutakirti Prabhu, thank you so much by keeping us absorbed in Srila Prabhupada's Leela. With reference to the verse that you described, the mode of goodness, scenery, and some devotees say that if one gets attached to this natural scenery, I heard sunrise, if we're attached to a sunrise, then we'll come back here. But there is another version that perhaps we could see it in relationship to Krishna, everything. So, how to understand both these positions?
Shruti, I have trouble with the speaker. What was that?
You're saying that Prabhupada says in some places, sunrise.
Yes, that's our business. See everything in relationship to Krishna. Prabhupada was taking his morning walk, sunrise, that's when he took his walk. But neither was he watching the sun. Prabhupada always, his focus was always straight ahead, wherever he was. You know, it was so nice just even to see how he walked. He was never distracted, you know, looking this way, looking that way. One morning walk was on the beach. He was a young boy. He was like 17 years old. He was on the morning walk, somehow or other. And if you go on the beach in the morning around sunrise, if you're walking on the beach, what do you see so often in the sand? Little crabs, little sand crabs, right? As the waves go down, they come out. The waves come back, they're running. That's all they do, run back and forth, looking for food or whatever, you know, in the morning. So this boy, he's at the back. And we're walking. And I'm next to Prabhupada. This is with him now for like 5 days. And he looks at me. He said, he's not serious. He won't last. Because he was watching the crabs. Just like that. Morning walk. In Juhu, Prabhupada comes down 2 flights of stairs. There's 24 devotees all down on the ground offering obeisances. One young devotee boy was like this, hands folded. Prabhupada's walking. He turns to me, he said, that's the beginning of his fall down. Imagine how serious Krishna consciousness, sleeping, always sleeping. The only time we ever slept was during Bhagavatam class. That was the best time. You could get nice rest during Bhagavatam class, you know. We have one god brother, he could sleep during giving the Bhagavatam class. He'd fall out for a minute or so, and he could pick right up where he left off. We're expert at sleeping. This is our expertise, how to sleep. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Srutakirti Prabhu, for such wonderful remembrances of Srila Prabhupada. So I'm trying to understand, different devotees with Srila Prabhupada had different relations with him. And when you describe your relationship with him, it seemed like it was very reverential. You were very reverential in Srila Prabhupada's presence. I had Mukunda Maharaj and Shyam Sundar stay at my house. Well, Mukunda Maharaj on 2 occasions, he was my guest at home, and Shyam Sundar and Mukunda Maharaj together on 1 occasion. And they would tell us different stories of their early days. And one time Mukunda Maharaj was saying how Srila Prabhupada, I think he said Indira Gandhi had given him a gift, and it was a marzipan wrapped, very special marzipan. And Prabhupada took a bite of that marzipan, and then he handed it over to Mukunda Maharaj. And then Mukunda Maharaj thought, but you've bitten of this. Am I supposed to eat this? And then he said, I looked at Srila Prabhupada, I wasn't sure. So I took a bite of it, and I gave it back to Srila Prabhupada. And I asked Mukunda Maharaj, I said, so was it like an easygoing relationship that you felt quite comfortable, you could do that? And he said, yeah. He said, in that period, it was just like we were just starting off, and we would share things. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really interesting. Did you ever have any experiences where you didn't feel like you felt like you could maybe just relax with Srila Prabhupada and have a more chilled out relationship, maybe?
Most of the time, I felt very relaxed with Srila Prabhupada. He dealt with everyone as he needed to. And when you're his servant, I've even said that sometimes to my godbrothers who were gurus, initiating gurus, and they have their servants. And sometimes I see this one, he was just chastising. Prabhupada could have chastised me 24 hours a day, but he didn't. Otherwise, how are you going to carry on and do your service? So he was I could say I was comfortable. He was very comfortable. As the more time went on, certainly a relationship, developed in a very sweet way. So many of the stories you hear about his childhood, they're stories he told me as I was giving him massage in the evening. So I was always doing my service, whatever it was, but there was definitely an intimacy that was there. Very first day, second day, as a servant, he went to Dallas, Texas. So it's my first full day with him. And it's after lunch, and he rang the bell. And right away, I went in the room, the door was on the side. So Prabhupada's sitting on his seat, on the floor, just on the ground, just a cushion on the floor. And I came in, but I didn't go in front of his desk, which is very formal, right? Like, you have a tape, you go into somebody's office, they're behind their desk, and you're in front. Well, automatically there's this master-servant kind of thing that's going on, But I came in beside him, and I just offered my obeisances right beside him. And I sat up and looked at him. And he was exchanged in very, very intimate, and he looked at me, and he said, Srutakirti. He said, your name's too long. He said, from now on I'll call you Shruto. I said, yes, Prabhupada. He never called me Shruto again after that day. But it did something. He was making me comfortable to be with him. He was dealing with me in a very sweet way. Because I was young. I'd been in a temple for 16 months. You know, I had gotten Brahmin initiation 4 months earlier after 1 year in the temple. But he was dealing with me very intimately. He changed my name, but he never said it again. And then he kept looking at me. And then he said, do you take a nap after lunch? And I said, no. I thought he was questioning me, you know. I said, no, Prabhupada. I said, you know, we never napped, except the Bhagavatam class. I said, no, Prabhupada. And of course I didn't. None of us did. We were all up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, went to bed 9, 10 o'clock at night. That was us. That's how we were trained. Sleeping more than 6 hours, Maya. That's what we know. Sleeping. It's all about sleeping. Krishna consciousness is all about waking up your consciousness. And then he looked at me. Imagine, sitting next to me. I'm sitting on the floor. He looked at me. He said, I'm an old man. And when you're old, you can't sleep too much at any one time. He said, so I take a nap after lunch. And I'm looking at him. I'm thinking, he's telling me this. I'm thinking, who is this person? He's got thousands of people around the world doing their best not to sleep, to serve him 24 hours a day. And he's saying such a humble thing, explaining to me his process of sleeping, how he takes a nap. He could have slept 12 hours a day, it wouldn't have mattered. When he was sleeping, awake, Krishna conscious. We're sleeping and awake, we're in Maya. That's what I thought. I'm in Maya no matter what I'm doing. But he said these things. Everything he did in the first few days made me more and more comfortable, more and more attached to him, more and more able to just be around him. And I'm sure he did it very sincerely, telling me how his sleeping program. But I saw that he did it so that I wasn't nervous. How can you serve if you're nervous? Sometimes you see when devotee goes somewhere, Maharaj goes somewhere, his disciple may be seeing him for the first time. He might be giving him Charnamrita, his hands like this. He's nervous. He's with his Guru Maharaj. So how am I going to do anything like that? So he was expert in every way, but it wasn't a ploy. Everything he did was genuine. You know, his feelings were genuine. He would give you something. In Los Angeles, you see the new Dwarka, you know, after class was the Prabhupada cookies. Every little kid got a cookie. And if after every little kid got a cookie, I was the next one in line to get a cookie from Prabhupada. So you had those times in his room, and then you had those times outside of his room. You're just like everybody else. But when you were in his room, there was a certain just sweetness that he gave, you know. And he could do that with everyone. It was back in the 90s, 26 Second Avenue, Prabhupada, day after Rath Yatra. Prabhupada Kata and Malati was there, different godbrothers, and we all talked for 5-10 minutes. And after my talk, one devotee, he was a disciple of one of my godbrothers who had a lot of association with Srila Prabhupada. And he asked me, did Prabhupada treat anyone special, any of his disciples special? And I had never been asked that before. And I knew what he wanted to hear, that his guru was special. I knew that was supposed to be the answer. And of course, Krishna in the heart? And I said, yes. I said, all of them. Prabhupada treated all of us special, and he still does. You just have to figure it out, that you're being treated very nicely by Srila Prabhupada, huh? Everything. Otherwise, how can we even be here without him taking such nice care of us? We've come here now, you know, we've been traveling over the last 6 months a lot. I don't know, been to like a dozen different countries and so many different places. And you always think, you don't know how you're going to be taken care of, you don't know where you're going to stay, you don't know what you're going to eat, all these things. But Krishna's been very, very kind. And I see it's all Srila Prabhupada's mercy. And that's all we have. Our business is serve. And you do your service, Krishna is obliged to take care of you. And if you're going to spend your time thinking about how to live very comfortably so you can sleep, then you're on your own. And Krishna is not there taking care of you. You take care of him, he takes care of you. That's our business. So I think it's getting late. We can stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
He knew something happened involving him, but he